Wait, what do I do next? What do I say? It's been
Oh,
a minute.
I'm
What do I do?
Jessica. Nice to meet you.
She's Jessica. Welcome to the Jessica podcast. Oh, is that not it?
Wait,
I don't
what
even
are
know what
we?
I'm doing. It's Dylan. Dylan's got a green hat into this podcast. No, I don't know. I don't know. It's been a long time, but we're back.
It has, yeah,
Crank Lex podcast. The new
like
year has
over a
come.
month.
It's yes. It just
We
felt
do
like
exist.
we do exist. It just we had intentions to record, and then just I don't know. Life was life, but it was kind of refreshing. I don't know about you guys, but it was kind of refreshing just to kind of recharge the battery and then like come back at this fresh. And what an opportune time because now preseason's kicking off for the guys. The women are coming back for the second half of their season. It's
Mm-hmm.
all kicking off. I'm ready to go. I feel reinvigorated.
We
Um,
are we are emerging like some sort of snow phoenix. You
yes,
know,
yes.
Gosh, out of the
Snow
ice,
Phoenix. That has to
yeah.
be a real
all,
thing.
all
Some mythology
frozen.
somewhere has it.
If
Yeah,
not, it's the band we just created.
that's what it is. Snow Phoenix. Yep. We'll play halftime shows at LSC. I don't know what I can contribute. I'll
Yeah.
be the vibe guy. Kazoo. I'll play kazoo.
Mm.
I can rock that. Yeah. We'll all play kazoo. Even
I'll
better.
take the
Ooh.
wind chimes.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
Just wasn't
Yeah.
mean triangle.
Yes. This is gonna be so sick. Kyle will sing. He can't stop us from putting him to that because he's not here. So Kyle will sing. That's what we're gonna do. Here he has a very angelic voice. It's a mixture of like, I don't know, Beyonce and I don't know,
Taylor Swift.
Beyonce. I don't know. Yeah. Let's go with that. That's perfect. I like it.
Two queens.
Yeah, there you go. I love this. No, I'm excited to be back, you guys. We've got a little bit of stuff to talk about for the women's side. But of course, we're gonna have a ton here soon. Men's side, there's all kinds of things that we've missed. Well, we didn't miss, but we haven't had a chance to kind of mull over in this format. It's all been confined to like text messages up to this point. But very exciting nonetheless. Women's season this weekend coming back against Fort Lauderdale. But there are some new changes to the squad. We had two. Honestly, I wasn't really sure if we were going to add to the squad or what we were going to add to the squad, who, when, where, why, how. But now we've got a pretty solid look at what they felt like we needed to kind of bolster, which is already our amazing defense. But looking at
Mhm.
this, kind of at first, I was like, all right, well, interesting. Interesting. I kind of don't hate this, right? But then I started thinking, I'm like, oh, yeah, that actually makes a little bit of sense because our defensive unit, as amazing as they are, it's not super deep. Like in my opinion, it's not like we've just got players on players on players that could fill
Mhm.
those roles and kind of keep the wheels turning. So I guess they felt the same way as a club, and we got two new defensive players that have joined us. We've got Reagan Steiglider, and then we've also got Allie Brown, who are here and in the mix. So Reagan is a player from the NWSL, in fact, KC Current, which if anybody like is plugged in at all to the NWSL, Kansas City, pretty regularly a strong team.
They're a good team.
Um, yeah, they very much are.
You can
So
play with
she's coming to us
her
from them.
in the current iteration of FIFA also.
Hey, there we go. I was wondering about
Nice.
that. I was thinking just the other day, I was like, man, it's been a minute since we've had a player that's featured in FIFA. I wonder when the next one is going to be. And I didn't know that she was in there. That's good to know. It's probably because I don't have the latest EAFC. I need to get the next one that comes out. It's been a minute since I played. Got to get back into it. But no, like, so she's a player that's coming to us, actually played attacking midfield in her early days. And then one of her early clubs that she joined up out in Sweden, whenever she started her pro career, they transitioned her to being a defender. She can play center back, but she can also play outside back. And unless I'm incorrect, mistaken somewhere in here, I believe it's left back is kind of more of her specialty area. So we've got somebody that can play across the defensive line joining us that has some decent experience coming to us from a high level club. When we were looking at Allie Brown, she's somebody that was a regular starter, somebody that featured pretty heavily, a captain at one point for Tennessee. So had a great career as a defender at Tennessee. She was also a center back there. So somebody that hasn't transitioned positions, a natural center back, has spent her collegiate career playing that, but now she's in the mix. So we have two defenders joining us to help bolster up our back line. When you guys heard that we were getting a pair of defenders, what were your thoughts? Or just new players in general? Were you kind of surprised that we were adding a new player, or like is it a necessary thing, or is it just kind of like icing on the cake?
I kind of, I think we said before the break that didn't really feel like we needed to add too much, but it
Right.
does nice to have some like defensive depth. You know, we kind of put a lot of weight on both Allie and Hannah in the back line, and shout out to Allie. She won that award for what, like defender of the year, not like of the year.
Like that
What
they
was the
predicted her as that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that
Yeah.
one. So, there's that. And, sometimes maybe it's just nice to have someone else start, get some fresh legs, get some rest. So I think it's pretty good defensive depth. Um, I don't necessarily know if it will change the starting lineup at all. I kind of, us, we like consistency, so I would kind of like to see these new players kind of maybe worked in as subs and something like that. I don't know. How about you, Jess? How do you feel?
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of icing on the cake. And touching on what Dylan said as far as not feeling like how we commented last time, how we didn't feel like there was much needed to change. I was glad we didn't see a lot of moves over the break because don't fix what's not broken. And we're doing pretty well as is. And so, yeah, having that additional depth, I think being smarter in the second half, because we saw a lot of injuries in the second half of the season last year. And so I think this will help with that for sure.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you all. And I hope that this ends up being a situation that adds that longevity that you're talking about, Jessica, because you look at our squad beforehand, and it seemed like our midfield and our forwards, it was very much like, I mean, whoever you want to put there, right? You start looking at things like our back line. We have people for those positions, but we've rotated that a lot less, which isn't really like strange for teams, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever I say rotate, I mean, even during games, you don't do a lot of like subs to your back line, especially when you're talking about like your center backs and stuff. And so I think that a lot of teams, once they find their people for those spots, they just kind of stick there. But it is nice to know we have more options just in case something happens, like red card, injury, call up for, like anything that could result in us needing somebody to fulfill those spots. It's always nice to have extra options and people that can step up.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are key areas of our team that we've really gotten very comfortable with being like, oh, we got Allie and Hannah back there holding it down, doing their thing. But you always got to be prepared. And so I like that we are making sure that we are prepared. And I agree with you, Dylan. I don't really anticipate the starting lineup making a drastic shift. But there is always that question, right? Because we have Coach Costa in charge now. He's fully at the reins. He's at the helm. Maybe he sees something that he wants to be a little bit different somewhere. So you never quite know, right? But it does feel like this is hey, we've got people to keep legs fresh, to keep options open. And I like that we've done that. I like that
Mm-hmm.
we at least went out and got some extra people to kind of help us out to make it through the rest of the season without any of those random things that pop up, right? It's good.
EAFC has Reagan listed as a right back.
Oh,
And
okay.
she's right-footed, so that might,
Yeah,
So
very true. Okay, so there we go. You can do anything,
mhm.
but it's that is really really nice to have her here doing that. And being on a team like KC Currents, she's not gotten a ton of minutes over the
Yeah,
past like couple seasons, but that's also probably just a symptom of being a part of a very very
good,
strong
good
team.
team. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like some of our players that we have, right? They're obviously good players, but once you've kind of settled in and you find like your starters, sometimes it's hard to like crack into the starting lineup and get some consistent minutes unless there's like a dire need. So um, I think she's a high quality player. I'm glad that we got her. Same thing with Allie Brown. I think we're just collecting Allies at this point. How many are we up to? We're up to like 16 Allies and 72 Hannahs. Is that it makes it easy and hard all at the same time. Like you can literally like if you are somebody that knows nothing about Lexington Sporting Club's women's side, but you still want to sound like good in any conversation. Somebody walks
Just
and be
to
like,
go Hannah.
"What'd you think about that game? Who did you think did a good job?" And you're like,
Hannah,
Hannah.
Allie.
And somebody will probably just be like, "Yeah, she definitely had a great game." And you know what? Chances are, at least one of the Hannahs or Allies was in the starting lineup or featured as a sub. So you're square. So there is your hack for being a low tier to mid level informed LSC fan. Just name drop a Hannah or an Allie, and you're going to be set for life. Maybe that's what we should just do for any like newbies too. That could be our first tip. Just say that, if somebody asks you about LSC, you really like what Hannah did, or you really like what Allie did during that game, and you're gonna be safe. It'll be fine. It'll be totally good. All right. We also have a lot of men's players to talk about. Speaking of new additions, yes.
Question though, before we move on to the men, do we want to talk about any like other upcoming games for the women as far as like any predictions or are we not like? I mean,
Yeah,
we know
we can
we're
go ahead
just,
and do that.
or we know we're gonna just continue
We're gonna win.
crushing
We're gonna
it.
win. That's what it's gonna be. Be like Vicky Valancourt. Predict the score. Like, how'd you come up with that prediction? Ain't no prediction. Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about Fort Lauderdale. So what do you guys think? What's gonna go down? We played them twice, right? So what's the vibe? They're our next match.
I think coming out of break, we end with a draw.
A draw. Okay.
Yeah, I wanna win. We've had a lot.
Yeah, I
of
want to
drives.
win too,
Yeah.
Jessica.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
true.
I mean, they were our first game of the season. It was a 3-3, right? Right? Am I
Mhm.
mistaken? Is that right? And then we beat them 5-1 when they came to visit us in October. So right now we're on the better end of the series for this season.
I think we'll get a 2-win. I think we'll win 2-1.
Coach Koss starts us with a dub. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I'm gonna give it like ladies are just feeling the energy. They're coming back ready to go. They get to play in Florida instead of in the terrible weather that we got going on here.
what?
So they're going to be
Terrible?
they're going to be psyched. Going to be psyched up. They're just going to be ready to go. It's going to be 3-1 victory for the Greens.
Well, but I'm also curious with going into the second half of the season if there's anything that you guys are excited about with the women or might be like nervous about. Like, are there any concerns with the women going into this second half?
For me, my only concern is that it doesn't go the way of the men's team where all of a sudden you have injuries racking up out of nowhere. That's always, I feel like, in the back of your mind for any season because every season's kind of long, right? No matter what league you're talking about, it's a lot of games to play, a lot of trainings that they participate in. Yeah, I just want us to all stay healthy. I hope Coach Koss kind of keeps the rotation that we saw with Coach Mack, which seemed to work with keeping people kind of fresh. So if we can kind of keep that rolling, I think that we'll be in a good spot. That's the only thing that kind of like, I'm like, geez. But I feel like going into the second half of the season, aside from that, like I feel good. We have to really find our winning gear, right? To make sure that we're getting those 3 points, because that's what caused us to slip at the end of the like little midseason break that we experienced, right? We ended up just falling into like, well, we got a point. We got a point. We got a point. We got a point, which I am eternally grateful for any points that we get. But we need to start racking up 3 at a time as opposed to 1 at a time. So I'm anxious to see what happens there. Because as much as Coach Koss is on the same wavelength as Coach Mack, at the end of the day, they're different people. So some things are probably going to be slightly different. And I hope that any changes aren't felt intensely on the field. I hope that is very smooth and very natural. And it's just like, there we go. I do have to say, this isn't like a concern so much. It's more of like just a bummer thing. We only have 6 home games for the women. So that kind of stinks. We only have 6 opportunities to see them at home before we close out the season, which also isn't great when you're considering that we don't have home field advantage very often to finish things off. So
it's true.
We'll see what we do with that.
Do you think that's partly because just being in Kentucky and the weather not being like last spring the weather was terrible.
Brutal. It was so bad. Yeah. I think that probably is part of it. I mean, I feel like it almost has to be. I mean, even when you look at our first couple of matches, they at least give us till mid-February before we start coming back here. But even like the 14th and the 21st, you're not really safe from bad weather. So it'll be interesting to see how those games go weather-wise, especially with what we've been getting. So I'm sure there was some thought put into, hey, the spring was real rough for Kentucky last year. Let's maybe see if we can get more games in other locations. And I mean, a lot of those locations, obviously, that we're going to shouldn't have too much worse weather than us. I mean, by the time we go play a team that's in any area that would experience something worse, it's already like end of March. So you're kind of in the safe zone at that point. For the most part.
With Brooklyn.
Yeah.
There was an oh shoot. I lost it. That's okay. I had a thought. It left.
It'll come back.
It was thinking. I really hope they have a good promo for the February 14th game, because with it being Valentine's Day, like I hope. I mean, you'll have the sickos out there like me and my husband, where I don't want to go out for a nice dinner. Like I want to go to a soccer game. So, hopefully they'll have some good enough deals to make more people want to go.
Yeah.
You'll just have to cuddle up next to your partner and get all cozy and watch soccer.
Yes. Enjoy both of the things at the same time. Being there with your special person and LSC getting a dub. Yeah. Right? Like they have to.
If it's cold, it's an excuse to cuddle,
Yeah, because if that's my Valentine's Day, then I'll be in trouble if we don't get the dub. If we get the dub, at least my wife will be like, at least you won. Okay, now where are you taking me for real? And I'll be like, okay, all right, yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, that would be cool if they do some good promos for that one. I agree, 100%. All right, transition. We good? Moving. All right. Men's side, lots of new faces. Not as many as years past, though. What a day. What a day. I don't know how many times, how many seasons. Well, I do know, because it's not been that many, but it's been too many where we're like, all right, guys, here are our new 50 players joining us because everybody else is gone. This year, it's not such a bad situation, right? We've actually kept a pretty decent number of people. So it seems like the wave isn't quite as immense as it normally is. And I'm okay with that. I'm feeling good about that for a change. So we got lots of players. I think the last time we were together, this was still in speculation mode. I don't think we recorded since it was official. But Aaron Malloy joined us like you gotta stop me before I talk about him for a whole episode. Aaron Malloy joined us. Philip Goodrum is here now. We snagged him from Lou City. We got Tariq Scott, so Malik Henry Scott's brother is here. And then we've got Oliver Simmel, who is joining us as a goalkeeper. So those are our additions, aside from like the official announcements of the returners that they've been putting out, right? But those are our people that have joined the club since we were last together. A lot of really great talent here. So like Tariq Scott, somebody that is definitely like his brother, very much an up-and-comer, somebody that's done really, really well. They won a title together with North Texas a couple of years back. I know last year he did really good as far as goal production, assist production. Whenever he was playing for North Texas again, he got some time with FC Dallas as well in the MLS, because North Texas is kind of its feeder club. Basically, it's MLS Next Pro section. So he's doing really good. Somebody that we hopefully can see some dividends from. Oliver Simmel's goalkeeper. He's played for NCFC. He was with them last season for just a little stint. He came in late whenever they did a little bit of a last minute, hey, we need a goalkeeper loan. He came in and finished out the season for them, which of course NCFC no longer exists right now. But he's a great addition. When we look at Philip Goodrum and Aaron Malloy, though, if you've been paying attention, then you've been paying attention. Those names should definitely ring a bell in your brain. We already ranted about Aaron Malloy for like half an episode the last time we were together. Philip Goodrum is somebody that is going to score goals, has a tendency to rake in double-digit goals every season. Not every season, but just about every season. It feels like every season, and has plenty of accolades to his name. Both he and Aaron Malloy, to get them, we broke some transfer fee records to get our hands on them. So these were definitely statement of intent signings to try and make sure that we had what we need. And I know, looking at them plus our other players that we've got that we brought in, I know we talked about a few prior to this episode, but I'm just curious with you guys, like, who out of our newbies are you like, okay, that was the signing we needed to make? Like, that one right there, that's what's going to push us over the top. Like, I feel like for me, I'm a little torn, right? Because Aaron Malloy, I feel like, still reigns supreme for me. That was like the signing of signings. Like, seeing his name come across the page, I was like, what the heck? How in the world did we manage to snag him? Grain of salt, though, like, I will say, Philip Goodrum, I've been saying that was our like final piece that we really needed to nail down, was a goal scorer, and somebody that did it at the championship level, not somebody that played in the MLS and featured a couple games and scored a couple goals, or somebody that's like a complete unknown. We needed somebody that was like, okay, in the championship, do they score? Yes. Have they done it for multiple teams? Yes. Then let's sign them. So it's a little bit of a cop out. I'm going to like go like 75 Aaron Malloy, just because he's so versatile and he makes things happen. And he's just like somebody that elevates an entire team. 25% Goodrum because of that goal scoring that we've been missing. We just needed somebody that was like that guy in that spot. I don't know how you guys feel.
I would say Goodrum just because at the conclusion of the season, we all kind of said that like a striker is really the thing that would set us apart.
Right.
And, you know, we were kind of missing a double-digit, you know, player, goal scorer for our squad. So I would say him with Malloy just kind of being like the cherry on top, you know, that makes it all really, real nice.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't have much to add to that. I completely agree with all of that. But if I had to pick between the two, I would say Goodrum as well, for the same reason of just needing someone who can score some goals.
Yeah, 100%. And it's kind of cool because having like Philip Goodrum join us adds a little bit extra spice to our rivalry with Lou City, because he left them to come here to us. And I know a lot of Lou City supporters were super upset about losing him. I mean, not throwing tantrums upset, but it was a little funny because I do remember one specific person like chiming in on one of our posts or something and being like, man, I'm not going to miss him that bad. And it's like, that sounds an awful lot like copium, sir. You know, because it's okay to say you miss these players. He did good for them. And I think that he's going to do great for us, especially with all the talent that we're putting around him. I feel like we finally filled that last slot that was really, really glaring and was like, man, like we have not been able to figure that out in a minute. I mean, truly though, like the last, I mean, I know we had a little bit of success goal scoring in year 2. But I mean, the last time I felt really comfortable about a goal scorer was Ates. You know what I mean? That was the last person that I was like, man, he's going to bang in goals like right and left and make this happen for us. So having Philip Goodrum, now I'm like, okay, I'm back to that. Like he's going to get double-digit goals. Like thinking about everybody that's around him, I don't see a world where he doesn't. And I guess maybe there is a world where we have so much talent that he has to share so much, but I don't think we have so much striker talent that it's going to be like a 50-50 split. It's going to be like, all right, you're that guy and you're going to be the one that's raking these in. So that's really cool. Question for you guys though, and this kind of goes in with what I was thinking whenever we're thinking about like a starting 11, a potential starting 11. And we may not have seen the last of our moves. We might see some people kind of sneak in here as we get closer to the season kicking off. But I'm curious with us bringing in a new goalkeeper. We brought back both of last year's keepers. So we got Brooks Thompson, we got Logan Ketterer. They're both back in the mix. And now we've got Oliver Simmel. In you guys' mind, who do you think starts?
I don't know. I definitely, in my opinion, Brooks should be the starter. I just think he's the best one on our roster. But for some reason, I think they like Ketterer a lot. I think there's a lot of people who don't see, like a lot of fans who just don't see it with him. But we were all kind of shocked to see he was the starter for the preseason match. But, you know, that's just one preseason match. There's more to come. So,
and to be fair, we don't know who switched out. So
yeah.
May not have been in the whole one, but
yeah. But yeah, Brooks is my starter if I'm picking.
I don't know. I'm looking at their stats right now. Oliver, he played 13 games compared to Brooks played 15. Logan played 16. But goals conceded, Logan had 25 compared to Brooks 17 and Oliver's 15. So in that sense, like maybe a toss up between Oliver and Brooks. Not that Logan's bad, but I think stats alone.
But what was really like a big thing that was an improvement for our goalkeeping when Brooks was in was our distribution. His distribution is better than Logan's, and we were getting more goals in the stretches when, you know, Brooks was in goalkeeper because he could distribute better. So we're better offensively with him in the game as well, defensively. So
I can see that.
Yeah. For me, I feel like adding Simmel into the mix is a signal that there's a possibility he wins the job. Just because he is the type of player, it doesn't strike me that you bring him in and then say, hey, you're going to be goalkeeper 3. Like you're going to get relegated to the 3rd place spot. I think worst, he's goalkeeper 2. So that means one of our last year guys, like 2025s, is going to get relegated to that 3rd spots. And who knows, maybe somebody goes out on loan even. Because really you don't need 3 keepers just sitting around waiting. That's just not something you do. So I could definitely see a world where somebody goes on loan. For me, I think Simo has the skills to be a starter. If I am choosing right now, I'm choosing Brooks because I
Mhm.
feel like the only time that Brooks had bad games is whenever he got in his own head. I
Yeah.
feel like if he got in his head during a game, it was a slippery slope type of thing. But I'm sure that he's been working on that.
Mm.
And, if he can just brush off those things and just kind of go forward, he's such a good goalkeeper. And, Logan's a great keeper as well. I mean, I like his skills. I know he's had more goals scored on him. And I know, like, we see the chatter, but I
Right.
feel like he does have a lot to offer and he has a veteran presence. But I'd probably agree with you, Dylan. I'd probably go Brooks. But then again, we've not seen Simo and what he has to offer with us. I mean, of course, you can look at stats with all the other teams he's been with, and some are really, really great, and kind of point to the idea that he could be a starting caliber keeper for us. So it'll be very interesting how that all plays out. That's one of the spots that I'm really watching, because we'll get into this here in a second. But there aren't very many spots on the field where I'm like, I don't really know who would be a starter. Um, this is one of them, though. I'm still like, who are we going to go with? And even if you include, what Dylan said, Ketter, he kind of was the one that got the first look last year. And then he even had a chance to redeem himself and came back for a stretch again
Mhm.
after being absent for a while. Um, so you just never know with like chemistry as well, like because you have to account for that as a coach, like who's got the chemistry with the squad that you're fielding, um,
Yeah.
and who's going to also deliver technically. But yeah, I think Brooks would have my vote as being the one that's probably got the best chance, but who knows? I don't know. I'm not one of the coaches. And Coach Mack, he's he's in charge, and he'll make the decision that's best for the team, I'm sure. And
Mhm.
if not, we got two other keepers that we can try out if it doesn't work out. So that'll be a spot that's exciting to watch for me. And I hope that they kind of challenge each other. You know what I mean? I hope it's competitive and they elevate each other's level, and it's productive in the
Mm.
competition that they experience with one another.
Well, but I also wonder if I know you mentioned having three goalies isn't necessarily what teams normally do, but I feel like with Logan's concussion last season, maybe having two deep, it like you get one with a concussion, one's that's just in his head all the time. Hey, you've got a third. So
Mhm.
I don't know. There's part of me that also wonders if Mac just really wants a little bit more depth.
Yeah, they could be, and that's why, like, I kind of wonder if somebody would go on loan. You know what I mean? So that way they stay fresh, as opposed to being so buried that they don't see as much action in any circumstance. Because then, if you have, like our, well, it's not Jaeger Cup, like the USL Cup by Prinix, and then, like that, and then Open Cup, which we are a part of, and that's where you're probably going to get like your GK2 in the mix and let them do their thing. But then that always ices out your GK3. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see what happens. But you're right,
Mm-hmm.
Jessica. It's smart to have a third ready to go. And I know last year we technically had a third.
Yeah, we
But
never saw him.
yeah, never saw them even when things got dicey, even when we were without Logan. They weren't
That's
even
true.
rostered, which to be fair, you know, playing for the academy squad. He was a little tied up there, but yeah, we didn't even bother rostering a backup keeper when Logan was completely out, which I still
That's
can't get
true.
over. I still can't get
Yeah.
over that. Like who was it gonna be if something happened? Like who was it gonna be? I just love everybody that's like it's gonna be Ed Ray. Caceres is gonna come in and he's got it locked down. Um, yeah, that was always an interesting approach to me. Yeah, that's a big question mark spot, though. Looking at the totality of who we've signed and who we've brought back, again, nothing set in stone. I could definitely see us getting some more players in the mix at some point, because we've seen it every year, right? We get somebody
Mm-hmm.
that comes in like right at the end of preseason. We get somebody that comes in just after the season starts. Like it's kind of wild, right? Nothing is necessarily so concrete at this point as to being like, well, they're here or they're not, and that's it. But as we are, I don't know. Like, I think starting lineup, I think we're probably going to go with something similar to what Mac did with the women's side as far as formation, right? So if I'm like rolling like a 4-2-3-1 here,
Yeah.
I'm kind of feeling like, goalkeeper. Again, for me, it's a battle between Thompson and Thompson and Simmel. My vote is go Thompson. Again, bringing Simmel in makes me feel like he might be the choice. I don't know though. But I'm gonna go Thompson is my guess for starter. I'm gonna say that Burks is gonna be a starting center back because, yeah, like duh, right? Ordonez is gonna be the other one. So Ordonez for the other. It gets tricky with the outside backs, right? Because we pretty much have like Hafferty, Zinge, and Green in the mix for those. I feel like Hafferty still earned his spot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw him in as an outside back. Zinge and Green, man, they both had really great moments last season.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like both are deserving of a starting chance. I'm gonna give it to Zinge. I'm going to give it to Zinge as the other starting outside back. That's what I'm going to go with. Malloy starting in the midfield for sure. Like, of course, right? And then here's another one. Here's another big question mark. I love the debates about this on the Discord and stuff, whether or not it's going to be Felipe or Ferry. I feel like it's going to be one or the other, right? Because Malloy is for sure going to be out there. That's a tricky one. I am 1,000,000% comfortable as things are right now with either starting, but I think that Ferry played so good last season, he deserves to be our starter initially, and it's his spot to lose. That's just my feeling. I'm the type of person that likes to reward hard work and loyalty. So Ferry, I feel like, did his thing whenever he came in for us last year. So I'm going to say he's next to Malloy. Plus, it's a really great mix, right? Malloy has a really wide-reaching skill set, but one of his big things is like his distribution, and he's very good as an anchor. I feel like Ferry is better as like that free-roaming central midfielder that can really get in the mix with the ball at his feet. And so I think that they would be a really nice pairing with one another. So I like that combo personally. I feel like if we're going to have a Cam in the mix, it's going to be Blessing. It's him or Epps. I could see this being interchangeable, honestly, but probably Blessing. And then
you don't think Firmino?
I don't know. That's tough because Firmino, I think, is somebody that's done everything that's been asked of him, and then he scored in preseason. So that's pretty slick. My gut tells me Blessing is going to be the guy that gets the call, though. I could be happy with Firmino getting another shot in a new system with new players around him, though. Because, again, he did anything asked of him. I don't know that he gets enough credit for the fact that he was just kind of like a yes-man workhorse. Coach was like, hey, you're going to play here and do this. And he's like, okay, sure. You're going to play here and do this. And he's like, okay, sure.
I'm with you. I think it's still Blessing for sure.
Yeah.
But I really need to see more from him.
Yeah.
Like at this point. Like
from Blessing?
Yeah, he's kind of the person that like, I want him to start, but my eye's gonna be on him immediately.
I will say, I think that he didn't get a fair look last season because by the time he actually got to start playing, we were already in a nosedive. And like vibes were just not good at that point. And so I wonder if like reinvigorated vibes. I agree, Dylan, because they did like this big video for him, right? I think that he's still that player that can deliver. I think Coach Mack and the players that are going to be around him are going to be what makes the difference. But we'll see. I think that's a good point, Dylan, that we do need to see what we were promised. And I think this is the situation that he can do it in. I think Epps is a starter, if only for his like veteran presence. I feel like he proved himself even whenever he like had his little bit of a roller coaster, he always came back. And I think that he's just a really strong captain, veteran style player. Because it's tough. It's tough to say what's going to happen with, certain people on the team. Because again, it's a different coach and they might see something different in a player and actually give them that opportunity where we didn't get to see them display that quite as much last year. You think about players like Joseph. We didn't get to see him at all because of injury.
Yeah.
Well, he's back in the mix. Maybe he's somebody that earns a spot somewhere. Medince is a great player. Still had some polishing to do as far as like decision making and things. I think he's a really great game changer late that just can really blow through defenses. But I think like the composure of Epps wins it out for him. Adedekin's a starter for me. He's on our other wing. Like I think it's got to be a lock. And then Goodrum. Goodrum's our striker. So that's who I got. So I know there's a lot of talking in between, but I think it's going to be Brooks, Thompson. Then we're going to have Burks and Ordonez as our center backs. Then I think we're going to have Zingue and Hafferty as our outsides. Malloy and Ferry as our midfielders. Our cam's going to be Blessing. Adedekin and Epps are going to be our wings. And then we're going to have Goodrum as our striker.
I like that lineup.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would have something similar. I don't know if Epps is a starter for me.
Who would you change him out with?
I'm maybe looking at Tariq Scott, yeah. Maybe looking at him, maybe looking at Milo Youssef. Maybe one of those guys.
For me, those are players that will have to prove their spot.
Yeah.
We've not seen Joseph at all. And again, they're seeing him in training and probably preseason and all that great stuff. So maybe they're already seeing like, okay, that's the guy. So you might be right, man. Scott brothers, I need to see more at this level from them too. So again, maybe they're showing out, but I also feel like they're those types of young players that you kind of ease into the mix and you say, all right, let's get you some minutes as subs. Oh, you did great as a sub. Let's get you more minutes as a sub. Oh, you did great at that. Let's get you some starting time. So I could see somebody getting eased into those spots, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I see anybody that's like an automatic replacement for him though.
I think Adedekin is definitely a start on the left side.
Oh yeah.
But the right side winger is definitely a question mark for me. And if you were to say that Epps is the starter, I would have the similar feeling how I would feel with Blessing is there would be a microscope on them seeing like these are probably the two question spots because I don't think there's a question for Adedekin, Goodrum, Malloy. Those are guys like all around there for sure starters. And then, even Ferry and, we see as a starter, but up front, we got to make sure all those guys are firing on all cylinders together, because if, one of those guys ain't clicking, then the whole thing won't work. So,
yeah, I know there's a piece of me that was tempted to even say Medince. But
yeah, I know.
He's so good.
He does play very well as a winger.
Yes. But then there's so many games too, though, where
he made a wrong decision.
Yeah, held on to the ball a little too long, lost it, and then there's a counterattack. But he might have figured that all out in the offseason. He might have smoothed that stuff out, kind of gotten a different perspective on what to do in those situations.
Mac does to these players versus, their prior experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, it might have got figured out. And if Medince comes in with the maturity of Epps, it's Medince. Right. You know what I mean? Like, the decision making. The decision making and all that. But that's why these things are so hard, though, because it's all this balancing act of who has the mindset, but who has the skill set and who has the right mix of both of those things. And so sometimes you might have somebody that's stellar with the ball at their feet or stellar at sending crosses or stellar defensively, but maybe they still have growing to do as a player in other ways, maybe on the mental side. And it makes it tough, doesn't it? I don't know. How do you guys feel about the outside backs?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the like left back were kind of, if it's Zengay or Green.
Yeah.
I'd be happy either way, honestly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Same.
mean, they both had really great flashes last season, and I know they both like had games that were just kind of like meh. Which, I mean, every player is going to experience that, right? So for both of them, I like what they bring to the table. I feel like they're very interchangeable in their styles, and they're both really, really good about like getting up in the attack and doing their thing. And I think one of them probably would have been a starter last season if it wasn't for the fact that Kieran Sargent and Joe Hafferty were doing their thing and holding it
Yeah.
down. But now Kieran Sargent's out of the mix. He's off in San Diego doing his thing out there. So it's tough for me to say that I'd be upset with either of them earning the starting position.
I'm still sad we didn't keep Kieran.
I know.
You mentioned
I
Kieran,
know.
I'm like, oh.
I know. It's such a
sad.
bummer. He's a
Sad
good
face.
dude, man. He was a good dude. I know. If we had locked him down, that would have been stellar. But
Yeah.
you can't get everything you want, I guess. I mean, we were already out there making big moves, getting all these other power players. So we had
True.
to pay somewhere, I guess.
Mm.
Such a bummer. Okay. That's it. Feel good though, otherwise?
Yeah.
Jess?
No, go ahead, Dylan. Yeah.
No, I'm interested to see how the back line will play. I
Yes.
know that sometimes with Mac, the girls kind of had like a back three because Alyssa
Mhm.
plays so high
Right.
on the right side. So there was almost like a back three at times. So I wonder if we'll see some of that as well because Joe has been known to go up that far. And, we could do a comfortable back three with the two center backs you mentioned and then, either Green or Zengay.
Yeah. And that's also another thing that Malloy adds to the mix too. He's really, really good about also like being that holding player,
Picking up defensive work,
but can still have an impact offensively. Like he's so good at playing both of those roles at the same time.
He has
Yeah.
great like progressive balls from the defensive end.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. He manages the game, and so I think that he could also be that presence if need be. Like if we have like Joe, Zingay, Green, they all go up whenever they're on the field together, and then you have Malloy as that extra little safety net. So I feel pretty good about that. But yeah, that's fair. It's just questions, It's so funny how some of these feel so like set in stone and that's got to be the way it's going to be. And then some of these I'm like, oh, I don't know. It depends on a lot of factors that are behind the scenes that we don't have eyes on. So I'm interested to see the goalkeeper thing. I'm interested to see who wins out for that starting position between Ferry and Felipe. I'm interested to see, what we do as far as our outside backs because we have options, but I think it just kind of depends on how they're doing in preseason and training and max vision and how everybody fits into that vision. So it's it'll be exciting when we see that more firmly, right? I mean, we saw like a little bit of a version of these things, right? Because we had that preseason match here just recently. And can we just for a second talk about how nice it was to have a lineup graphic and have our trialist named on the lineup graphic and then tell us the names of all the academy players that they took along with them. Like
we've been begging for this type of transparency and it's
like,
very nice to get it.
Right. That to me was so nice. It was so nice to have all those things right there and in your face. So that you're like, okay, all right, I know what we're doing. I know what we're dealing with. The one that really just blew my mind though was them naming a trialist.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time as a club, even for us, I'm like, yo, who's that trialist? And everybody's like, I ain't telling you. Like, that's top secret information. If I tell you to cut off the end of your pinky,
me your next
prove you're going to talk. Yeah, right. I'm like, what the heck? Like I thought that was really, really cool because I understand sometimes trialists are like, well, I'm gonna go trial with a couple different teams and I don't want to hurt my chances and blah blah blah. I get that side of it, but it is still really neat to be like, oh, this is somebody that we might see their name more often than not if they end up doing good and maybe they're in the mix with us. So that was neat. Good on you, LSC as a club, for giving us that information. That was very refreshing. So we played Orlando City of MLS in our first preseason match with Coach Mack in charge. We got our starting 11, so we ended up having Logan Ketter in goal. We had Jacob Green, we had Kendall Burks, Nicholas Cardona, who is the trialist that was playing there, Joe Hafferty, Aaron Malloy, Nick Firmino, Luis Felipe, Marcus Epps, Michael Adedikin, and Philip Goodrum. That was our starting lineup. Now, I will remind people, and or maybe people don't necessarily know this. I don't know how long people have been listening, or how in tune people are with how preseason all works. I will remind everybody that preseason games are wonky. They're the weirdest setups. They'll be like, all right, let's play 2 15-minute halves, and then let's play a 30, and then let's play a 90 after that. And it's like different players for each of those setups. It's so strange how they run them, but really they set them up in a way that they can get all players out on the field at some point, but not so much that it runs them down. And then they pick up an injury or something weird happens before the season starts. So again, grain of salt. Everybody always has to look at these preseason results and be like, cool or not cool, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme. These are just getting touches on the ball.
But
we don't know the format.
Did win, so we do
there we
get
go.
Orlando's best player by proxy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that's
true.
That's just what happens in preseason.
I'm still waiting on Miami to give us Messi. But anyway, I don't know. I guess we didn't win. We drew. But half a Messi. We get him for half the year. How about that? If only it worked that way, right? But no, but like, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. But even still, it is cool to just kind of get some looks at possible lineups. It is cool to see that we won this one. So we won 2-1. It was even cooler that we actually had video of the goals. Like, that's another weird thing for preseason. I mean, the club in the past has done like super cuts and a few like clips of goals, but not usually in real time. And it's not usually like a full scope view of it. It's always like a real close up artsy, here's them scoring, and then it cuts away and you don't really have any context for anything else that happened. So it was really nice that we got that as well, because we actually had boots on the ground out there, filming, having content sent through. This match, which goal did you guys like better? I mean, there's really only one answer, but I'll ask.
I like the build up one, just
number 2.
Yeah.
Because there's the set piece one, which Adedikin was the one that took that set piece, right? Didn't he end up taking the kick? I think that he was the one that took the kick off of that one and ends up getting its way into goal. I mean, it wasn't like the cleanest goal you'd ever see off of a set piece, but it still bobbled around just enough for somebody to get a foot on it and then get it into the net. All that really matters at the end of the day is you make it happen, right?
Yeah.
The second goal was cool because it was a brother link up.
Yeah.
The Scots did their thing. And that cheeky back heel in the box to set up the shot. I loved that.
The pass to start it all off was like so slick too.
Yes. The whole sequence was just very boom, boom, boom. And the back heel was the one that sent me. I was like, oh man, we're doing that. We're doing these little cheeky back heels in the box to make these things go down. That was a very cool one. Jess?
Yeah, I would agree. I hadn't seen the Firmino goal. I just watched that. And I think it's always fun to score off a set piece too. But yeah, whenever you can bring it down the field that smoothly and score like that, that's always fun.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, really awesome look. It was even more hype, like I said, that it was the Scott brothers that did it. You know, like that chemistry coming back and then making that happen. That was super slick, super neat. And obviously a different permutation of the lineup, right? So clearly they had switched at some point because it was no longer the starting lineup. They probably had a mostly new setup, probably a handful of the same players out there doing their thing. And then we've got a game against Atlanta up next. So, I mean, I think we may have talked about this somewhat, but it is really cool that we're really going against some competition that, has some real deal players that they can field. We're not just going out there and trying to play easy matches to warm up. I feel like we've actually chosen some opponents that, like, okay, they're going to test us, even with it being preseason, even with it being, half speed friendlies, we're going to see who we are as a team, and they're going to expose what we need to work on before the season really kicks off. That Atlanta United game, who knows what's going to happen? We saw how crazy preseason's been in the past, but I'd love to see another win, because even with it being games that don't really count in the grand scheme of things, in some ways they count. I think that it matters to get wins in preseason for morale, if nothing else, because I think it builds confidence. So as much as you could say, just throw that result in the bin, it doesn't really count for anything. For me, I think that's where it really makes an impact. So if we can kind of keep this train rolling and see those wins rolling in from each of these preseason matches, we'll be in the right mindset whenever that first game comes around, because that's not really a warm-up game. The first match of the season is not like a let's kind of figure out who we are and just ease into things type of situation. Yeah. That's you got to be ready.
You have to have it settled before.
It's on lock.
But one thing I think I'm most looking forward to is seeing how Mac brings the men together, because we've seen what he has done with the women. And although a lot of that plays into how the players are as well, like sometimes you can get some ego, and that's it's hard to build chemistry with that when people are out there for themselves and not for their teammates and the team. But we've seen how Mac has been able to really build such a strong culture and positive. Like you can feel it. I feel like when you watch the women play, it's not about the individual player. It's about how they work together and in order to achieve the goal of winning, or whatever it is. And so I don't know. I feel like Mac, if anyone can do that with the men, Mac can.
I would agree with that. I think it's trending upward, when you think about that type of thing, right? You're like, okay, they got to win together. We got the talent. And then you've got Mac, who seems to be the right mindset. And by all accounts, everybody loves him at the club. Yeah. He's not somebody that I've not heard anything bad. Yeah. And we hear things from people all the time about various things. And that's not something that's ever come out. Not a single person has been like, hey, low key, bad dude. Not a single ill word has been spoken about him. So I think that will play a big role. I agree. I'm excited to see what goes down. Another cool thing, I kind of mentioned it, where they actually named the academy players that went along. I thought that was awesome that we did that again. I know we normally send academy players to get some experience, but it was cool to have them named. Highlight those players, who they are, what they're doing down there. This time we sent down Joseph Buckley, Andrew Caborn, Luka Sawinski, who we keep hearing his name. I keep wondering when he's going to finally get a shot to at least be on the squad. That's somebody I keep watching. Brady Stockton was down there, and so is Jose Flores. So, all names that if you even half pay attention to the academy squad, you've probably heard those names somewhat regularly. So it was really cool to see them get another opportunity to play with the first team, even if it's just like a friendly circumstance. But I think it's getting us like one step closer. We keep asking ourselves, when are we going to see one of the academy players break into the men's squad at the championship level? I feel like this is showing us that we're just getting a little bit closer. The talent is starting to get there. These are all players, for the most part, a lot of them have been around the academy system for long enough time that we can feel comfortable to say, like, okay, they see something in them, and their fate might lie collegiate play. It might lie somewhere else, but some of these names, like I keep saying, like Luka Sawinski, I can't help but think, like, all right, when's he going to get his shot? Like, when's that going to happen?
Mhm.
But very cool nonetheless. These upcoming matches outside of this one, I mean, I guess you can say, like, now that we know we won against Orlando City, but I mean, still, let's just kind of push that out of our brain. How are we feeling? Is there any one of these that we're like, yeah, that might be a preseason friendly that exposes some things, that helps us learn a little bit? Because we've got Atlanta coming up next, then one Knox, Nashville, Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh Riverhounds, right? And then Fort Wayne, newbies to League One. Any of these stand out as ones that are like going to be really,
I mean,
like,
Atlanta's
that
a good
tested us?
squad. You
Yeah.
know, that might be a big test for them. I would say, obviously, Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
but that's more down the line as well.
Nashville's got my eye for sure. I think
Yeah.
Nashville's one of the ones that stands out to me. I agree
Didn't-
with you about Pittsburgh too.
Did we beat them last year, though? Nashville?
Ooh,
I feel like we played them.
Why is that escaping me? I think I'm mixing it up with one of our other matches. I don't know that we did, Dylan. We might have, though. I have to
For
go back
some
and
reason,
look.
I feel like we played them at one point.
We did. That result's escaping me. I got to go back and look at that one more time. Pittsburgh, I agree with, though, man, because whenever you're playing competition that's at your level or below, they're
I
probably
think
going to be playing.
Yeah.
You know what I
With
mean?
more
They're not going to be like,
Mhm.
yeah, not only more
Yeah.
intent, but you're probably going to see a lot of their, like, this is probably our starting 11,
Yeah.
or maybe like our starting 11 plus 2 subs, just to kind of mix it up. So you're going to get more of like a true, like, this is
True
you
feel.
versus us. Yeah. Even if it's only like 80% speed.
Mhm.
I think that'll be an interesting one for sure. And then I think like the USL 1 squads are going to be trying somewhat hard, because when you're a USL 1 squad and you're playing against a championship squad, you're trying to see, like, oh, can we actually hang? Can we do our thing against them? And if we can, then we feel good about our season. So I think
Mhm.
that they'll be trying pretty hard. But I think, Nashville and Pittsburgh are the ones I have my eye on for sure. Jess, do any stand out to you?
I agree with Pittsburgh, and it's the second to
Mhm.
last before our home opener. So just like you
Mhm.
said, I think Mac will be wanting to fine tune things, and
Yeah.
like you said, I think we'll see more of what might be our starting lineup against
Yeah.
Louisville.
That's a good idea. I think that's probably what's going to play out there. And then Fort Wayne will be a really good tune-up game for us and them, because they're not like completely brand new squad, but they're like new enough and entering into League One that they're going to have to try and figure themselves out. But I think that it's doable for us for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's good to have this like level of competition that we're going against for this. No matter what, it's all going to get us to that ultimate goal, because we have to be ready for Lou City. I really, really wish we could have like a couple of softball games to get us into the real season. But at the same time, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's see what this preseason exposes and how we adjust.
I'm glad we have a good mix of like talent level, and it seems to be on the higher end of the talent level pool, because I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes we were playing like D3, College of Saint Mary the Mother, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and like sometimes it would be a bummer too, because we'd have like decent competition on the books, and then something would happen and we'd be like, actually, we're just playing this random squad. It's a pickup squad. It's Unatletico Madrid. We're gonna see how we do against them. But you're right. It is good that we have really solid competition for this, and we'll hopefully continue to get those graphics with the starting lineups. Again, preseason, they don't reveal a whole lot, right? Because there are like 15 different lineups that get used in those preseason games and all the random little permutations that they show up in. But it'll be good to see those at least. And I hope that we still get some names of trialists, because I don't think that was our only trialist that was there at that match. But of course, we didn't see anybody else's name because they didn't end up putting out like a second
They don't
half
tell you
graphic
subs
or
and everything.
yeah,
It's
right.
too many.
So right. And but man, that'd be super cool though if we end up with like a Sarah Griffith situation where we find somebody that just came in as a trialist and we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're actually starting caliber. And that's where I kind of wonder, like, are we looking, especially for like our outside backs where we're kind of shallow in those areas? It's like, are we looking around a little bit? Are we looking around a little bit of like who could be like center back material? I mean, I think the starting spot for center backs is taken, but still you want to have those people that could slot in if the need arises. So I'm interested to see if any more trialists get name dropped throughout these next few games. And then if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought it was the Atlanta game that's getting streamed by Atlanta. I could be mistaken. I know it was either Atlanta or Nashville. One of the two is going to be streaming the game, but I think it's during a weekday at like 11 a.m. or something. So it's not necessarily the best time for people to watch unless you have a very flexible job or odd hours or something. Or you just sneak off in a broom closet, watch it on your phone.
Oh, the game against so someone commented on the preseason schedule asking if they'll all be closed matches, and LSC said the February 27th game will be open to the public with more details to come soon. So that's the game, our last preseason friendly against Fort Wayne.
Yeah, which is awesome. I am super excited about that one. Yeah, I feel like it was Atlanta. That sounds right in my brain. Ooh. Because what is that? Yeah, because that's on a Friday, right?
The 27th?
Yeah, I think it was the Atlanta one. I think
it's Friday.
They're the ones that are going to be streaming it, because I'm pretty sure they advertised that it was going to be like at 11 a.m. or something. Yeah. So anyway, if you have a flexible job and you can watch it, do that. If you don't, then I don't know. Just say you have tummy troubles that day. And
get a new job that'll allow you to be flexible.
And
yes, get a new job that'll allow you to be flexible. Put that in your resignation letter too. You guys definitely did not account for Lexington Sporting Club's preseason schedule, so I'm sorry to do this, but I have to leave.
This is my 2 weeks.
Yeah, starting 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm out.
I gotta go watch this match.
Yeah,
like right now. Like, unless you're gonna watch it with me, but like I don't know. All right. Am I missing things? I always miss things. No, we're gonna beat Fort Lauderdale. That's a lock for the women's season. It's done deal. We got this. For the men, we're gonna win all our preseason games, and then we're gonna build a trophy to MAC outside of our stadium.
Yep.
Done deal. When I say we, I mean like us three. And it'll be made out of paper mache. Because I can't afford like fine metals and whatnot. So paper mache, it will be. right there at the corner of the one field as you're walking across to the stadium. It'll just be right there.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not very good at paper mache, so it's up to you guys, really.
Well, we can make it out of snow, and it'll be a semi-permanent structure.
Yes, I love this. You know what? Let's just like get a big block of ice, and we'll just do like an ice sculpture.
We'll put a jacket on it.
Yes, it'll be a big block of ice with a nice looking tracksuit or jacket or something. That's what we'll do. Yeah, this is devolving pretty quickly. All right, matches coming up. Watch, support, cheer on, all the stuff. Remember, preseason's not end all be all unless we're winning. Then it is. If we win, then it means everything, and we're going to win the league. If we draw or lose, it means nothing, and just forget about it because it's just a learning experience, and that's all it is, right? Yes. Yes. Yeah, we got nods of affirmation. So you have permission from the whole crew to lose your mind if we win matches and stay stable and sane if we don't. That's what we all do. All right. Final thoughts. No? Okay.
No.
Well, then everybody, till next time. Hopefully next time we're together, it won't be frigid at LSC Stadium, but it will be mid-February. So it probably will be, but
Lots of
we'll endure.
layers,
We'll endure.
blankets.
It'll be
You'll
totally
be fine.
It will be totally fine. Just worst case scenario, just ask Austin Powell to borrow his heated vest. Promise you'll give it back and then run really fast when he hands it to you. Don't do that to Austin. We got to keep him
He
warm.
wouldn't like that.
No, he'd be sad. All right, guys. Until next time, you know what it is. Come on, you greens.